was it 2012 that you decided, okay, now I want to, or was it earlier?
I think it's around 2012. Yeah.
And then why at that point did you think, okay, but now I'm going to focus on what I make and what I create?
Well, in that time we were in the, like I said, in the DJ collective called Bmkltsch, and we were with, you know, like 5 or 6 guys, and you know, we had our successes, but I just felt that if I could do it on my own, nothing would hold me back, you know, because they're still my friends, and you know, we have no bad feelings towards that period. But if you're with like 6 people, every decision that you make has to be discussed, or and it gives being in a collective gives the strength of a group, like the strength in numbers, but it also makes you a bit less dynamic. So then I just thought, okay, I want to start something on my own. And that time I started something for my solo career as Mike Mago, and we still did some gigs with Bmkltsch. And then after a while, it didn't really work, so I focused on my solo career.
What did you notice about, because you say there's a different dynamic when you're working in a collective. So what did you notice about your own creativity and your own sound, if you want to call it that, when you started working by yourself?
Well, when I started pursuing the solo career, I just produced for a year or something, okay. So I wasn't that good and that experienced. But the good thing about it is when you start your solo career, you can kind of define yourself, and this goes unconsciously. You just start to make music, and you have no reference or no boundaries in style or in genre or in choices. So you can do whatever you want, and that feels really nice. And I think that feeling next to my taste in music made me produce the direction I'm producing right now.
Is there well, I might know the answer to this, but was the show the first song that you kind of felt, okay, now I have something, or was there something before?
I had some small tracks before, but the show was kind of like the point where I thought, okay, now that I also said to myself, now I can produce in a certain way, and it was definitely the first track that for me was finished, and you know, was my real like end product. Yeah.
And like you said, am I correct in saying that the first things you released was on your own label?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So then, well, after the show, I think Spinnin took an interest in you.
Yeah.
What were they able to do for you? What you couldn't do with your own label?
Well, the show firstly came out on Bmkltsch Records, and when I released it, the reactions were really positive. And for me, not being as experienced label manager or director that I was at the time, I didn't really know what to do with all that interest. You know, yeah, DJs are playing your track. Now what? So then when Spinnin called and said we want to license the track in and give it a kind of a re-release, then I really noticed what the difference is. Like they have a team, like 50 people or something, working on music, making a really good planning or schedule, release schedule, putting it to the right radio DJs, and then in the end licensing it out again to Ministry of Sound, which was the biggest partner that released the show. And then I really saw the difference, like from me not knowing what to do, everybody likes the track, but and then what? And they really showed me this is what you do when people like your track and how you can build more on that.
And for you now then, because you've released originals, you've also released remixes. Are you looking towards an album, or is that something in a way of the past in terms of EDM?
I don't know. It's difficult because there are some producers that really benefit from releasing an album, like well, electronic music, like DJ Koze, for instance, is a guy who really benefits from releasing an album. But there are also loads of acts that like the balance of how much work they put into the album and what the payoff was in the end is not really positive for them, and I think I'm afraid of that as well.
Okay.
So I don't want to spend my time working on an album and then you know, with that risk. I'd rather just try to make tracks and release them, and maybe in the end bind them all together and then release an album. And then when you bind them together, you can also like do what you want an album to be, like more than just some tracks, but and radio tracks, but some other tracks as well that maybe can go a bit deeper, or and that would be nice. But I still want to work on the tracks individually.
Is this something that you pay attention to chart listings and that kind of stuff when you do, for instance, when you do a remix, or do you think, well, I need something that will do well, or?
How do you, I don't know.
In the sense, well, that I have a couple of names here. For instance, you did a remix of Clean Bandit, Luna George, years and years. What do you base your selection on? Do you look?
Oh,
for
I don't
things?
select. I don't select them. They ask me to do a remix.
Okay.
And there are different reasons to say yes to a remix. In the case of Clean Bandit, Luna George, in years and years, it's more because I love their music, and it's musically it's a really good match, I think. So then I say yes to those remixes, of course.
And you say you like these artists. What does making remixes help you in a way as well, in learning about music in a way? Do you notice things that they, for instance, do? Maybe they have certain song structures and they use sounds in a certain way.
Maybe.
Okay. Maybe not. But
you know, when I do for remixes, you always have like a deadline to work on. So you don't have the time to. I don't have the time to like get in the stems of the remix, because you get different stems of a song, and then I, for example, could put them in my Logic project and just like analyze every layer and how they did everything. But that also takes time. So I kind of like always scroll through the stems and try to find out the most like the unique thing or the strong thing that I can use, and then use it. So I don't know if I really learned something out of that now.
And is there something you're working on now? Maybe original, but also a remix, or?
I just did a remix for Felix Jean, and a remix for Petite Meller, which is a kind of more of an indie act, and well, of course now Deeper Love, and my next single is just finished. Okay. So we're gonna plan that in for the future.
Can you tell me anything about that single yet? The title, or?
Well, it's called Daylight. Okay. And it's a collaboration, and again, for me, the lyrics are, and the singing is on a really decent level, and I don't know if I can say more about it.
Fair enough. Yeah. Okay, then finally, well, you have a US tour coming up. Yeah. How different is your approach when you're DJing live to when you're in the studio?
My approach to
the music, is there a big difference to what you do?
I think so, yeah, because I think every story you tell should be adjusted by the audience the audience that's going to receive it. When I'm in the studio, there's just me, and I just make the music that I feel or think I make the choices that I feel or think are the right one just for me. But when I'm DJing, it also depends on which audience you have. So you kind of adjust and you know, like a story. You know, sometimes you leave stuff out because you know it's not gonna work, and sometimes you put some other things in because you know it works, and that's kind of the way I DJ as well, I think. So the approach is more. It's more connected with the audience. Yeah.
Does your DJ set then change from the first show you do in a tour up to the last one?
Oh, it probably will. Okay. Yeah. Well, especially because I'm playing with Watermath, the DJ who's also touring almost the same tour. So I think, you know, I hope to get inspired as well, and definitely hope that at the end of the tour I'll have some new cool ideas to DJ or to produce or whatever.
Okay, this is going to be the last question. Amsterdam Dance Event is in October. Do you have anything special planned for Amsterdam Dance Event?
Well, it could be that I'm going to, in any case, show the world the new track, the new single. But that's going to be sort of a surprise. Kind of ruined it already. But you know, I'm just gonna work on the ADE show after the US tour. Okay. So I kind of want to take every step, like one step at a time. Right. So I'm going to think about what I'm going to do special in regarding my set or whatever after the US show. Okay. US tour.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.